early on in workshops like this is have you bring to your conscious level what you already know about language teaching from the learner's perspective. Because even if you haven't had much in the way of formal teacher training, you've been learning languages often, since middle school, sometimes even earlier than that. So what I'd like you to do is just break into two groups here. I guess we'll split between Olivia and Alan there, since Helen seems to have disappeared, and Nick, you can join the boys there. I want you to think about a recent class that you've had or a current one. How many of you are taking a language right now? Okay, that's good, so that's half of you. If you don't have a current one, then think of one that you've had in the recent past, recently enough that you can remember it. And just discuss those questions. I'm just going to give you about 10 minutes. It's not critical that you come to real strong conclusions on this, but I want you to think about what is it that the instructor wants you to learn. You have a syllabus for most of those classes, so you have some idea, you have a textbook, but you don't necessarily know that on a day-to-day basis. You just know there's this table of contents of a textbook. How are you supposed to learn it? What are the processes? Do you learn it by translation? Do you learn it from learning rules? Do you learn it from watching, from using the language to communicate, or some combination of those? What's the organization of the textbook or the syllabus of the class if there isn't a textbook? What does the teacher do in the class? That's a big one. What does the students do? What do the students do? And what do the books and other materials do? And then finally, a little more fun, what are some of your own favorite exercises or assignments or activities that you've done? Because those are the things that you can bring to the table when you're trying to train some of these teachers overseas. Okay, so it's a lot of questions. You don't need to spend a lot of time on each one, but I'd like you to at least cover somewhat superficially them. So, okay, so go ahead and gather, and I will stay out of your way, but be listening.
You want to join?
Sure.
Oh, a few of them.
So, I think it'd be a better idea if we just look for a good stopping point, kind of a short break.
Sure.
They're probably won't.
Sure.
Just talk about what's our how we love it.
Well, actually, it looks like, Nick, if you join, we can have 3 groups then.
Oh.
Was it 4 groups of 3?
Yeah. 1, 2, yeah, we'll have 3 groups of 3. This is
We're
good
talking
for
about like our experience.
This is good even for coordination.
What did the instructor want you to do?
Well, I was just in a French class last quarter, and also the quarter before. So I don't know, like the book format, I guess it was based on like
I guess it's
themes, like I guess it's like
It's how I learned in high school in Spanish.
Yeah, I mean every book I bought the Spanish book even though I'm not in the class, and it's like the same kind of thing. Like they teach you like in the beginning numbers and ingredients and light and everything, and also they teach you like classroom things like listen or stand up, like what you have to do, and then it goes on to more like family, family, and saying like who you are and like your focuses on like you and different things that you can study in school maybe, like still guess school. And then the next thing I think was places.
Okay.
Libraries, stores.
That sounds pretty standard.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, for me, I didn't really take any language classes here, but in high school in Spanish, we kind of had like a vocabulary component and then like a grammar component.
Yeah.
And the vocab was all broken up by themes and like.
Yeah.
That was about
It used like, and also within the chapters there was like the beginning was like, I guess some books are like you have a text or a scenario, and then you have a vocab, and then you have like a commentary on the grammar, and then you have like exercises.
That's true.
And then you have like now let's put everything that you put together to like create a new scenario, like kind of mimicking the scenario that you put at the beginning.
I once I had a teach yourself French book that came with audio, And the way they set it up is because most people who buy that book are the people who like want to travel in France or something, or French-speaking countries. So the chapters are like really relevant to like traveling.
Yeah.
So you start out by introducing yourself, and like they will all be in scenarios like you're at like a party. Like, you introduce yourself, you listen to someone's conversation at a party, and you learn the vocab from there. And then it's like you're driving to a new town, you're gonna look for directions, like what do you say? So I thought that was pretty interesting how like they set it up that way. Like it didn't go so far into like, oh, here's my family and like here's my occupation, but scenarios that you might run into. That was cool. Yeah.
I thought also I had like a teach yourself kind of like a Spanish book, and what it did was it made it was more grammar oriented, I guess. It broke it down by like, here are verbs and these are nouns, and like give you nouns and a whole lot of like scenarios. Like it was not really organized, but more just like we're gonna learn nouns, we're gonna learn adjectives and verbs and stuff like that. So it gave you a lot of wide variety of different scenarios that you might have to learn about based on your vocabulary.
Yeah. So I guess there's like a difference between writing it and reading it versus like speaking it. So in high school we always used to have like these heavy amounts of like, and like we have like language labs or something.
I'm gonna film other groups if you guys continue.
To the language. Yeah, but usually each unit is focused around like the context, like maybe like this, like like about something, about like the geography of England,
So like it's kind of like high pressure.
the history of behind the years war. So like there should be a focus in the context of teaching it, so people will be interested in what you're doing.
It doesn't help us.
I feel like it's pinpoint
Like teachers.
Yeah, I just loved it, like that was the way with my
I realize my friends.
Although sometimes you just hear it too much and it doesn't work. You know, like I get too in there.
Whereas like I think maybe like giving what I find very helpful
About their own like what's going on today and
like I guess observation, listening to people,
It's usually organized
that
on
was
themes.
That's I think that's very true.
And like you
But, I mean,
don't
like
want to be
social
It still is important to like speak from
Right.
going to a hotel.
yeah, like all the basic necessities.
If you were to travel.
Now it's like sort of like
But
moving
when
up.
year two, it's kind of just
It's easy to
being
learn.
drilled over.
Yeah. I think that's too. But then year three I think just a little too obscure. Are you videoing?
Yes.
But yeah, like year three I think it's like almost too obscure. They'll just take random things that they think you might encounter in conversation. So then you learn a whole chapter vocabulary about like global warming.
I know. I
A whole chapter about
like
if I am able to like get my point across, no matter how like
to be like
control.
active.
Oh my gosh, so I mean,
after a while
there isn't really a theme anymore.
Like you actively
already have
There
it.
is. Do you have anything conventional?
Whereas if I know all the rules,
Is it kind of
then I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I know the rules.
I mean, I think learning languages